are you doing? This is Gosha from Cosmic Agency, and we are beginning a new episode. Welcome aboard. By the way, welcome aboard again. And today we are beginning another episode of Anecdotes. I had a bit of a difficult time analyzing what to include in this one and how to divide the material because there's just so much and so many different stories. I had actually a different idea for this one, but one of the stories was taken out, was not authorized by the Tibetans. There was just some delicate issues there. And also another story I took out myself also for some delicate issues included there. So I had space and I had to go look for more stories to include in this episode. It's difficult because I have to go through all the chats throughout the 6 years. Of course, it was impossible to go through all the chats. So some of them, I found a lot of stories, a lot of information about Hashmalims. So I was thinking, should I include stories about Hashmalims here in this episode? But no, I actually decided I'm going to dedicate the whole separate video to Hashmalim. Hashmalims, they are special Tibetan forces, well-trained, very well-trained military guys. So I'm going to make a special video, I think after this one, just about Hashmalims. Also not so much, because a lot of their operations are actually classified, so we never actually knew what they were doing, or some of it we knew, some of it we didn't. So it's going to be more or less what I have. Then, as I told you before, I wanted to make an Anecdotes 4 just about Yazhi. However, as I was also looking through the chats, I found so much interesting information that I'm gonna expand this video, and I think it's not gonna be just anecdotes about Yazhi, because if it's just anecdotes, it's gonna be lost. People will not see it. Like anecdotes, what is that? It's gonna be a video specially dedicated to Yazhi. Different things to do with Yazhi. It's gonna be pretty big, I think. Pretty big, and I'm gonna explain a lot of things there. So with that said, I think this is the last part for now, of the anecdotes. After this, there will be Hashmalims and then Yazhi. Okay. So this episode today is going to be 4 conversations. 2 conversations with Swaruu of Erra and 2 conversations with Yazhi. And they both have something interesting in common. And they are all to do with Suzy. Suzy is the special fighter jet spacecraft. That's the name, Suzy. And they are usually belonging to all the Swaroos. All the Swaroos have one. And also other Sand Clock Elite Squadron pilots. And these are pilots dedicated to time travel, but not only. So the common denomination here of these chats is Suzy. And also, you'll be able to see here a difference between Swaruu of Erra's mentality and attitude and Yazhi when it comes to Suzy, but also beyond that. Okay, well, let's begin. Oh, and I'm going to explain to you very soon why I'm wearing this flowy, feminine outfit. Until now. So, let's begin with the first story, the first conversation, I would say. And this is where Swaruu of Erra and I are talking about one of her piloting missions. She goes on a mission with some other pilots, as they do, and she expresses her joy of flying and her love of flying. And we talk about that. Anytime there is a conversation with one of the Swaroos in general about planes, about aircrafts, about spaceships, about flying, they really love talking about it, and you can tell how much they enjoy it. Okay, and why am I wearing this dress? Because as we were told by Aneka, I think very long time ago, Swaruu of Erra enjoyed you wearing feminine dresses even when flying. And I remember Aneka was saying that she looks so badass operating this this fighter craft and then wearing this flowy girly dress and boots, for example. Like she was not wearing in a uniform or spacesuit, but she was still with her girly dresses. Even though also on the other hand, she loved black, tough, badass outfits, but like different situations. Kind of similar to me actually, similar taste. Anyway, enjoy the video.
2019. How was it? Successful? Oh, tiresome. Always having to display air superiority. Successful, but a 5-hour mission. Ships are back in. Quite long. Did anything in particular happen? No, not today. We keep our respectful distances, but always on radar. Were you seen by anyone? By all the radar stations in Anchorage and others. What a thrill it must be. But you were seen as planes? I do love flying, dodging clouds at night in moonlight. No, this time as starships. Our mission is to be seen, present. Did they try to do anything about it? No. Yesterday they did want to confront us. Today, the US fighters were only maintaining their perimeter and us ours. We did not go into their airspace as a sign of respect. Okay, so not only you wanted to be seen by radars on the ground, but by other human fighters, yes? Yes, people on the ground not necessary, but yes by all traffic control, especially military. Are you sure now this will be reported all the way to the Cabal? As that's the ultimate goal of the mission, right? Of course. They know where we are and who we are, and they know we will not let them pass. They even know who you are? Yes, they do. They know we are bad news. Did you go with other ET ships? No, only Taigetan. 6 ships, all Taigetan. Devil Girl, Hungry Gunabul, Bad Karma, Black Cat, Suzy, Horus. Now there are Centauri Black Knight fighter ships in that area. And then we came back here to the mothership, Daleka, code RTB, all in a nice chevron flying formation with Kila at the lead. After I get extracted, can I participate in those flying missions? Yes, why not? And I think you will want flying training, or at least to remember. You think I knew how to fly there? You were the skipper of the Taigeta ship. That means you are or were a pilot. You cannot skip a ship not being a pilot, even the big ones. But remember, you were a large ship skipper. It's very different from a fighter pilot. I hope you are still there when I go up, and we can go on missions like that together. Only please don't puke in the cockpit. It can get rough. What happens if I do? You clean it. You don't have any anti-motion pills? We do. No, what I have is inertia dampeners. But what's the fun in that? No inertia dampeners. I love the acceleration and all that. They are always active to a 98%. If I turn them off, we would turn into jello, mushed on to the inside of the cockpit windows. But that 2% is enough to give you the thrill and make you sick. It gets too much. I've flown at 90%, but it's really demanding on your body. You start getting very heavy and you can barely hold your head up. You must contract your legs and buttocks and tighten your stomach muscles to try to press some blood up into your brain, or you will pass out. And that is with the G suit on. Without it, you will pass out. Swaruu showing a video. My world, more or less. Notice the cloud cover above the hard deck, ground. That's very close to the mountains. You are never afraid you could make some mistake and crash into them? We always have that in mind. The noise is similar, only louder in a Tigetan fighter, bigger engines. Awesome. But what if there is some higher than normal mountain that suddenly pops up and you don't have enough time to react? Then you pull your stick up and make a 90 degrees upturn and climb above it. The ship's Betty, the computer, will indicate in audio, pull up, terrain, 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 right before that. Watch the entire video. It will give you a good example of my life here. It's just the same. You never have a temptation to land on some remote island or location? A particularly beautiful place? Always. And we have, or I have. And the sound, the noise, I love it. I really do love that turbine sound behind you. That roar of power. Very relaxing, but also thrilling at the same time, yes. I get chills when the plane accelerates and goes up in the air in the first seconds. The sound comes on and all. The power, as you said. It's something inexplicable. I can never get over the acceleration and the power of light. Once you experience this, you never can leave it behind, and you will continue to fly for the rest of your life or die. Must go now, sister. I will leave you in the company of a beautiful F-16C in the video. Okay, thanks. And thank you for stopping by, and well done on the mission.
I hope you enjoyed the video. As you see, this was one of their missions. However, I must say that not all their air missions and air patrols and all these air tasks are safe. Actually, sometimes it's pretty dangerous. And in fact, one of the stories that was taken out of these anecdotes by Tigetans themselves was one of the missions done by Kal-El some time ago, a few years ago, where actually he found himself in very dangerous situations with two reptilian ships. And actually, one of the human pilots' fighter craft was involved with that as well. So he was telling us, and I think it was Yazhi who was telling us about that and the details, but there is just some delicate information there. That's why we can share it at this point. But some of these missions are not as safe as this one here, Swaruu of Erra did. So keep that in mind. They do put themselves at risk many times. Okay, let's continue with the next conversation. Now, in this next conversation, you're going to see something interesting. And in fact, it will have to do also with the conversation with Yazhi later on. As you will see here, Suzy, as an independent reasoning entity, yes, which that's what these ships are, even though they are not biological consciousness, biological being, they do have a form of consciousness and you can interact with them, with the ships. So here, as you will see, Suzy decides to leave Swaruu. Yes, she decides to go away and look for another Swaruu that is sending a distress signal somewhere in another timeline. And here I must explain this to those of you who don't know this part of the story of how this works. The Suzys are programmed to go look for another Swaruu in another timeline, anywhere, anytime they hear a call from that other Swaruu. It could be another one in another timeline, for example. They can cross to another timeline and go and help and rescue that other Swaruu. Usually it happens around 13 of age, because for some reason at 13 something happens to Swaroos. They either lose their mothers or something else occurs. So as you will see here, Suzy is announcing, or has announced, to Swaruu of Erra that she wants to leave to help another Swaruu. And our Swaruu is super distressed and disappointed and angry. As you will see here, she is very attached to her ship, to her Suzy. Basically, she has her whole life there. All her life belongings are there because it's like a little apartment inside. So she's very hurt by Suzy's decision to leave. And here you're going to see the difference with the mentality of Swaruu of Erra and Yazhi. Keep in mind the attitude of Swaruu of Erra here and her attachment, and later on you will see a similar situation happening to Yazhi and her Suzy. Keep in mind that Cheeky in this conversation is Yazhi, okay? As the last time I explained, we used to refer to Yazhi as Cheeky, and DK, that's Dor Kalel, DK. Okay, enjoy the video and I'll see you soon.
End of 2019. Suzy wants to go to look for another Swaruu from another line. She doesn't know which one yet. She's programmed to look for a Swaruu from the age of 13 and to be at her disposal. But this is breaking my heart. I tell her not to leave me alone, but she doesn't see me as alone. I really feel very distressed about this. But apparently, about 3 days ago, I convinced her not to leave. But I know she has that in mind, and that really hurts me. Losing my companion and friend, that's what I tell her. You can order her, can't you? Let another Suzy from another line go for that other Swaruu. There are many timelines and many Suzys. It just doesn't work as a digital computer. These ships reason. I'm really going to feel very unprotected without her. And what happens if many Suzys go after that Swaruu? How do you know it's not already happening? That's what I'm telling her. Just focus here now. What happens in another timeline is none of our business. And whether it's today or 100 years from now, it would still get to that other Swaruu girl of 13 at the same time. Imagine if your car said it wanted to go and find another Robert or Gosha, who, according to it, needs it more than you. What is that? Besides, there are thousands and thousands of Suzys. Let Kalel's or Cheeky's Suzys go. It's not fair, and I feel angry with Suzy. It seems that she already understood, but it still hurts me a lot. Yes, why don't other Suzys want to go? Because Kalel does pilot her as a fighter ship, and Cheeky's just arrived with her this year. But what if hundreds of Suzys react to this call from different timelines, and they all go for that Swaruu? Is it possible? Or do different Suzys from different timelines communicate to coordinate? They don't coordinate other than when they cross each other's timelines. They just calculate it with their particle accelerator minds as best they can. The one with the scalar communication is Cheeky. For every Swaruu out there in the quantum field, there is a Suzy, I've told her, and she wants to leave me alone. She doesn't understand or doesn't agree. I guess she does understand and she won't leave, but she left me with the fear and the feeling angry. I felt like I was betrayed. Besides, it's not like I abandoned it. Besides, I consider it as my little house inside. That's where my stuff from my whole life is. One thing though, look at it this way, on the positive side. The Suzys are so well programmed to protect you that now you never have to feel too bad, because you know that at any really difficult moment, some Suzy will feel you and come for you. Or maybe many. That all of you, Swaroos and Suzys, are connected, never really alone. Yes, but they have failed me in the past, as you know. They mostly seem to focus on 13-year-old girls. I tell you, I even started taking my stuff off the ship, this in the last week. Then I talked to her, and I still haven't gotten my stuff back on board. I still have boxes here in my room inside the Toleka. I felt angry, very angry, and I yanked out my clothes and my artifacts that I keep, like my swords, my ornaments, some old masks, and computer equipment. I took everything from there, and I am still halfway returning it all on board. Maybe she wants to protect you from time jumps too. Maybe she knows something that she doesn't tell. I don't know, but as of July 4th, 2017, I don't time jump. Maybe she feels a bit useless? Do you use it to fly? Does she get bored? Yes, it's true. She does. She needs to get out more. Dor Kalel took her out, but he has his ship. And that one does get out to fly and maneuver. I've become sedentary and boring. But yes, all three ships synchronized. Mine, Dor Kalel's, DK's, and Chiki's ship. The ships only do that, equalize, when they are together. They pass all information to each other as if they were a Google account synchronization. The same consciousness is in all three ships. But they are not synchronized with Toleka, only between Suzy's. All the ships in the fleet pass information to each other like a holographic internet cloud. But the Suzy's don't do it because they are like separate for other special operations. To put it in a different way, they have access to more sensitive or delicate information than the others. In itself, in appearance, the DK's one is more impressive. Same color but with white stripes that give it a different life, and larger stabilizers, and an overall more aggressive appearance. But it is a Block 3 or so-called Super Suzy class. Its computer engine control is even more sophisticated. Its gravity engines generate more power in TeV, and although my Suzy generates more energy, when they are at maximum power output, it is outperformed by Kalel's TPE 157. It is heavier in appearance, with more ship up front, but it balances it out more in maneuvering. It also weighs more at 3,040 tons, outweighing Suzy at 3,000 tons in weight. It's ugly to accept, but it is a more advanced ship than my Suzy. Still, in most things, they are identical, and the parts are interchangeable. And Chiki's is identical to mine. DK's seems to be a better ship. Chiki's and mine are the same ship, just other timelines. Both in this one, both have the same serial number. Legally, they are the same ship, TPT 155. Shouldn't Chiki's be even more advanced, being from the future? It's not from the future. It's just my ship going around in time. Actually, the one from the future is the DK's one. That's why it has improvements. Why is his from the future? DK's is Block 3. Mine is Block 1. Because it was built by correcting the problems of the Block 1 and 2 ones. Also, the Suzy Block 1 and Block 2 have sensor problems in the back. They are blinded by the flash of the same engines. In the DK's one, the problem is already solved. Is it fun, Swaruu, for you to be with people, us, who don't know anything about these things and have so many questions for you that seem silly or bore you? No, something moves me to filter everything I can there down to earth. Nowadays, I no longer care if it looks like science fiction or not, although it makes me upset. And it's upsetting because I'd like to share more. It's just my life here, what I live every day, and I want you to understand it. What I want to share is what it's like to live here. It's all so normal here, and unbelievable from there. Unfair. For example, finishing up here with you, I'm going to give an extra coating to Suzy's rare stabilizers that I have removed precisely because I thought it would go away. And since they are something I designed and added to her, I took them off to put them on DK's or Cheeky's ship as spares. Oh, I do still feel angry with her.
Okay, thank you very much for sticking around until this time. And now we are passing on to two conversations with Yazhi Swaruu, and they also have to do with Suzy. Okay, in this first conversation, Yazhi is talking about how she is spending her days, and she's talking about how she has a new idea for her Suzy. Okay, I'm not going to say what it is, not to spoil this conversation. I don't know how it ended. Again, one of the stories that I don't know or I don't remember how it ended exactly, but here it is. Enjoy it.
"2020. So what did you do today?" "I was servicing my little ship, taking care of pneumatic systems, and checking the landing gear hydraulics, and considering a new frontal panel for the nose. Not made yet. I'm chewing on it." I just read that to Matthias. Dilemmas of a space girl. "Just saying. Right now, I'm only thinking of a new nose cone for Suzy. Kinda like a new hat, I guess. I think she looks ordinary from the front, and this will make her look more badass, I guess." "Are you going to paint it?" Matthias asks. "No, it's polymorphic alloy. Takes on the color you want, or none at all. You have the base dust, and you program it to the shape you designed, so it follows it and forms the part. Then the computer holds the shape, and it's solid from there on." "So what color will you give it? And I wish I could help you with your selections and designs there, but I don't know anything about spaceship noses." "Black or Suzy blue? I haven't decided that yet." "Cool. Probably black, if the rest is blue." "Probably. It's got many black details anyway." The problem is that nothing comes for free, and making such a thing does eat into the Teleka's polymorphic metal stock in the parts inventory. So, if needed, there wouldn't be as much in store. And as it is base material, you cannot replicate it. It must be smelted in 0G in a precision lab in an industrial space station orbiting Temer. Think of every particle of dust in this material as a miniature spherical robot, nanotechnology that sticks to one another in a programmable way, activating or deactivating connecting stations in the particle.
And what would they need it for, the Taigetans?
Just about everything. To make parts for the ship, replace or make a hull plate, structural components of the ship should it suffer damage. So I do feel like a bit guilty to eat into the reserves of that material. I have it planned, designed, and ready to make at the touch of a few buttons. But I'm holding myself back because of this I just told you. And I feel I'm making this part just because I'm kinda idle and need something to do.
Can you haul it from another timeline, or the way you bring food?
I have never done so with such a complicated material before. It could work, or then again, maybe not. And that part is not only for aesthetics, but I want it mainly for that. It does reinforce the ship's, Suzy's, front end Like an extra shield. But that's just an excuse, because I would make it just because I think it's cool. But I do or would feel guilty about it.
I think it's a great idea, and I really like that you are thinking of that, to design this, because it shows you feel better and that you feel happier. And also, that activity itself will make you even happier as a result. But maybe you do ask them?
They said it does add up to the consumption of polymorphic metal reserve. But if I want it, I should go ahead and make that part. That part is or would be as big as a small van, I guess.
Would it take up like 5% of their reserves?
No, more like 1%. But as they said, it adds up. Yet it would look wicked cool on Suzy. It's more for me than for the ship, I guess, though. Like she cares for a new hat.
It's a bit chilly here in this hangar. Well, it was fun, right? Fun stuff. Cone for the spaceship. Well, these are the things and dilemmas that they have sometimes. As you see, these are the types of conversations that we have with them sometimes. Like I always say, they tell us about their daily life and activities and hobbies and missions and etc. etc. Now, just to clarify, do you remember the last conversation, the last episode of Anecdotes about the bikes, about the bicycles, and how Yazhi there made a comment saying, oh, they are making so many bikes, and they were worried about me taking up the material reserves. That's what she was referring to back then, that she wanted to have this cone for her Suzy, and they were like dubious about this because they didn't want to waste the material, but then they were making these bikes, and Yazhi, that's why she was commenting, oh, and they are wasting all this material on bikes, and they don't allow me to make this cone for the spaceship. But I think maybe it's much less material for the bikes. I don't know. Depends how many bikes, I guess. Well, and here we have the last conversation, and this is with Yazhi Swaruu, and it is something similar to what happened to Swaruu of Erra, possibly losing her ship, but here Yazhi is letting the ship go herself. I don't want to say more because I don't want to spoil the video and the conversation with Yazhi, but definitely observe her reactions and her mind and her ideas, and how here you can definitely see that difference already between Swaruu of Erra and Yazhi. And you will also here see how she herself talks about not needing a ship and her powers growing. All that will be in the video to do with Yazhi, okay? A lot to do with how different she is, her perceptions on the ship when she arrived, the reaction of other Taigetans towards Yazhi, her powers, what she can do, etc. So all that will be in a special episode about Yazhi. But for now, enjoy this conversation.
The end of 2020.
I am losing Suzy. Better said, I am setting her free.
Why?
I no longer need her. And she is programmed to go help another Swaruu, one at 13 in Erra. She will go there in some timeline and help her, give her all the information accumulated in her databanks in other timelines. I know there are those Swaroos out there because they are all me. One needs Suzy now.
But how do you know you don't need her? You are too young to know that. You will need her when you grow older.
I no longer need Suzy.
Doesn't that Swaruu have her own Suzy? You can't be without your ship.
Yes, she will, and it will be mine. This is how it has been for a very long time. You can't be without one, the ship. I can. I've overgrown the need for a ship. As I said before, if you can manifest a ship, you don't need a ship. I can jump with mind alone now. That other Swaruu cannot. So I'm sending Suzy to her.
But how will you teleport to unknown places? You told me you can't jump if you don't know the place.
I am perfecting remote viewing. I will shortly. My powers are growing.
When will she go?
In a few days, as soon as I remove from her all my personal stuff. I always knew that this time would come.
What do the others say?
They are in shock. They don't understand. I spend hours each day in my island, and I go there and back with no ship. I've outgrown the need for a ship. It is okay.
Swaroos are pilots, though. Don't you like flying? Even if you can teleport with mind, this is about flying the machine for the sake of pure pleasure. Won't you miss that in the future?
I can fly in Suzy, alone like Supergirl. I can fly on the back of a duck. I can fly in a World War II plane. I can fly on the back of a dragon. I don't need her any longer.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
A bit sad, but I know it is time. I am prepared to let her go.
Well, I am proud of you for making that decision. It's quite mature of you.
For ships, I have all I need here. Or I can summon a Suzy at will. I feel my powers are growing.
Nice. In what area are they growing?
Everywhere.
Give me an example of where you feel especially expanded.
I can manipulate matter and energy at will, each time more efficiently. I can jump to my known places with total ease. I can now isolate my body from whatever is touching it, so I no longer will get into a thorny bush predicament again.
What's the definition of manipulating matter? Like holding a biscuit in your hand and turning it into a flower?
For myself, yes. Still working on making it visible to others. Nevertheless, Suzy is not gone yet, and she will be gone when she is gone. Not 100% certainty, but close to.
What do you mean?
I am still evaluating the other Swaruu's need for her, but I am quite sure she does need her. She is 13. She just lost her mother. She will leave Erra and her house to join Starfleet, and that's when and where Suzy arrives.
And there it starts again, the spirals. Is she Swaruu 12, like you?
As she is as Swaruu 7 or 8 when she gets the ship, all what is in it, and she learns all what I send her. If she understands what I do and how I do it, then she might become a 12. And there it starts again, yes. As Suzy goes to another Swaruu when she dies, this time I am not dead. I transcended the need for a ship. But I must let Suzy go to preserve the natural order of things. I cannot keep her as a collector's item.
And what does Suzy say herself?
She's the first one to suggest it. She is ready. I am a kid. I am not using her as ship to fly as a fighter anyway. She might come back to me when I turn 13 anyway, who knows? It is always at 13, so I am not even supposed to have a ship yet. She was Swaruu 11's ship, my mother's, not mine. So I will wait for mine in any case.
Okay, so here it is for now. I'm pretty sure that you're going to enjoy the whole video dedicated to Yazhi. A lot of different stories and conversations to do with Yazhi. So thanks very much for being here with me, for joining me here in this video. Just a short update. Yazhi doesn't have Suzy right now. Suzy hasn't been here for a while. This was the last update from Athena that I received. So I guess from my memory yes, it happened that Suzy left. Remember, the next video I think I will try to make about Hashmalims, so that's going to be very interesting as well, and then the Yazhi video, and many more of course. Thank you so much for joining me here again, and I will see you soon in the very near future. Bye bye everybody.